You know, M. Night Shyamalan, he's a bit of an enigma, you know? You see he's making a movie, you either feel two things. You feel, one, excited. You kind of sit back and say, wow, maybe it's going to be a good one. Maybe it will be okay, like some of his other movies. But then the other people sit there, and they get really scared and they say, maybe it's going to be one of those ones.
What? No.
Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video today on the channel, and today I am going to be reviewing the highly anticipated Knock at the Cabin. Now if you don't know, this film was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and it stars such people as Jonathan Groff, Ben Aldridge, and Dave Bautista. And this film is about a family, two fathers and their daughter, and they're on vacation and four strangers show up out of nowhere, and they break into their house and they tie them up, and they propose that they must sacrifice one of their members of their family or the whole world will end as they know it. So a little context before I begin. I'm not a huge fan of M. Night Shyamalan. I do like some of his movies. I like stuff like Split, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable's really good, Signs is pretty good, but he's definitely one of those directors where he's very mixed for me. I like certain films from him, then certain films I absolutely hate. And honestly, he's just kind of one of those ones where you never know what you're gonna get going into it. And seeing the trailer for this movie, I wasn't that excited for it. I thought this might be one of his lesser ones. And I'm happy to say it definitely isn't one of his lesser ones. Not saying that this movie is groundbreaking or amazing in any way. It definitely isn't in my regards. A lot of people might like it more than me. But I definitely thought this was kind of like in the middle. This wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't a good movie either. It was more just okay. It was very serviceable and I had a good time watching it, but I'm going to do a review of it right now. Now, some of the good things I want to say about this movie is one, the premise. The premise they have here is extremely intriguing. The idea of four strangers coming up out of nowhere, out of family, and saying, hey, you need to kill one of your family members or the whole world's going to die. That is an interesting idea. You know, this idea has been present before in other films of, would you sacrifice someone you love for the entire world? And it's a really cool dilemma sort of move. It's a very interesting idea, and like, how would you answer that? Would you sacrifice your own people, or would you sacrifice the whole world so you can be happy? It's a very interesting moral dilemma. And in this movie, they actually play on it a lot more, where you don't know if they're telling the truth. This group of people show up out of nowhere, and they try to explain to people, like, this is real. Like, everyone's gonna die if you don't listen to us. We're here for a reason. But then you also think that there are certain ideas that are throughout the film and certain little key details, I won't say, that kind of make you think, well, maybe these people aren't like who they say they are. Maybe they're just flat out crazy. Maybe they're murderers, psychopaths, and you're just constantly switching up your perspective and what you actually think the movie's going to be about. And it actually makes for a pretty good mystery. There's very tense scenarios in the film where they're trying to figure out what's going on, especially our main protagonists, and they're acting like they should, and it makes for a very tense experience, and I really like that tension. It felt like the stakes were really high, and that's really good for a movie like this. And I gotta say, another thing I really liked was the actors in this movie. Dave Bautista, again, proves that he can be a force to be reckoned with in terms of acting. Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge are also wonderful in this movie. Another thing I really liked in this movie was the cinematography. They go for a very all-natural lighting with this movie, and it looks wonderful. Like, the shots are absolutely gorgeous, especially the outside shots. Since it all is natural lighting, it looks great. And even inside, they go for a lot of different shot changes and shot transitions that are really cool. My favorite scene is with Dave Bautista, where he has an axe and he sort of raises it up, and the camera spins along with the axe straight up. And it looks really cool, and it's just that little detail that makes these movies so much better. They don't feel bland. They feel like there was actually something put into them. It makes it feel like they had a specific vision and they wanted to do something unique, especially with the shots, and I could really appreciate that, and I really enjoyed that part of it. I do have some bad things with this movie, and it's interesting because I've seen this movie a little bit ago. It was a couple days ago. And I still can't really think of why I kind of didn't like the movie as much as I probably should have, because it's very weird, because I feel this movie is kind of lackluster in a way. I personally thought the ending was kind of lackluster, but I also kind of thought there were little elements throughout that are just lackluster. And I can't necessarily pin it down, but I do have some specific complaints I will go over. But I do want to say that there was something about this movie that just made me feel uninterested. I don't know what it was. It wasn't as intriguing to me as some of his other films. A personal issue for me was the pacing. I thought the pacing was kind of weird. I thought it went a lot of the time, a little bit of everywhere. It was really slow sometimes. It was fast. And sure, in those moments where it's supposed to be slow, it fits because, you know, they're setting up characters or they're setting up backstories. But that's another thing. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of flashbacks in this movie, and I don't think they were really needed. They honestly could have been put pretty close to the beginning of the movie rather than the end of the movie, and I think it would actually give us a better look at our characters. It would have made us be able to sympathize with them more, and you've been able to get more into their lives and care about them more as characters. But they kind of leave it till like sort of like the middle, and I think that might have been the main reason I didn't get as sucked in, is because you don't really know a whole lot about this family at the beginning. You don't really know a whole lot, and then when the film goes on and you finally learn, sure you do care, but I felt it would have been a lot stronger and more impactful if it was closer to the beginning. I also noticed some clunky dialogue in this movie. It's not as a degree of like something like The Happening. No, not as bad, but there are occasional moments, especially at the beginning it felt like, where there was a little bit of clunky dialogue and words that really shouldn't have been spoken in the script. They feel very almost out of place, and I didn't really like those moments. It kind of took me out of the movie a little briefly, and it made it honestly feel kind of strange. Like I said, not that big of a deal. Like it's definitely like sort of a nitpick thing, but it is something I noticed personally for myself. But honestly, that's all I have to say about this movie. This is a weird one for me where I don't have that much to say. It's not a bad movie. It's definitely not a great movie though. It's definitely in the middle. It's good. It's a good movie. It's perfectly serviceable. It has some pretty good tension in it, a really good premise to it honestly, and some pretty good performances. And that's why I'm going to give this film a 6 out of 10. It's definitely not Shyamalan's best film, but it's sort of like in the middle for me. But anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below for more content on the channel coming pretty damn soon. And I'm going to see you all in the next one. See ya.